This video is brought to you by Harold Sack, who gave me a massive 1 year's worth of subscriptions on Patreon. Jared Carthalion versus Temet, Tatsunari, and Ginny Fey. That is a pretty slow hand, but we're going to have all of our colours, so I will keep that one. I've asked for a casual power level 6 game, so we should be alright going a little bit slower. The Tatsunami player, Club to Death, before the game tells me that he enjoys the videos as well, so a big thank you to Club to Death for watching the videos. We draw into another land on turn 1, so just drop the trio. Noteworthy that the Ginny Fey player has had to mulligan down to 4 here, so hopefully won't have too rough a game. Draw into Toxic Deluge, so got a couple of board wipes if we want to rely on those. We need white and red mana, so I'll go for another Triome with the Windswept Heath. And another land for us here, so yeah, we'll just drop any basic, it doesn't matter because we're going for Chromatic Lantern here. Looks like Ginny Fey decided to stop on those 4 cards in hand, and it was just a 1-lander unfortunately. Tatsunari Toad Rider, followed by another commander in Temerett, Vizier of Noctamon. Okay, now into a Bloom Tender, a little bit too late for that. We can just drop a fetch, that will tap for mana thanks to the artifact. And I'll cast the Maelstrom Nexus here, ready to cascade a bunch of times, hopefully. Alright, and the Naya player scoops there. I mean, they had to mulligan down to 4, like I've said a few times, so yeah, it's fair enough, I suppose. Courser of Kruphix into play for the Enchantress player, revealing an Ancient Tomb on top. Playing the Ancient Tomb reveals a Bayou. Made a Kami with that, of course, and now it is another enchantment in Smothering Tithe for the Temet player. So 3 enchantments in a row there, actually. Drawing to Surak Dragonclaw. I'm wondering if, not going to pay the Smothering Tithe tax. I was going to say, if we cast Vanquish the Horde, assuming we can afford it, I haven't worked it out yet, we'd potentially get into something big with the Maelstrom Nexus. But if it was a creature, then we'd just wipe it out straight away, so obviously scratch that idea. There's every chance that we'll cascade into something bad from the Toxic Deluge, but I think I'm actually going to wipe here and try and set my opponents back a turn. And that way we can play Bloom Tender this turn and get Summoning Sickness away from that. So 4 life into the Toxic Deluge, and like I said, we cascade. Cascading ourselves into a Farseek is really good. Successfully managing to wipe the board through the blue players. So play out the Bloom Tender, get Summoning Sickness away from that, and we'll crack this for a Triome just so that we're not drawing into tap lands. Obviously the board wipe puts us in a decent position to play out a Planeswalker as well. I think we have about 4 board wipes in the deck, didn't go crazy with them. Utopia Sprawl, an enchantment goes on to the Simic land. And then a Bastion of Remembrance, so playing all this without their Tatsunari in play. 6 mana being tapped by the Azorius player, and that is a Harmonious Archon. So immediately playing out a threat for our commander. I have to hold off on it, I think. Draw into a Void Rend, which could probably go on the Smothering Tithe actually. So we can probably pay for Smothering Tithe, pay for the Void, and then get down Surak Dragonclaw. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. So that means the first spell of this turn is Void Rend onto the Smothering Tithe, which cascades thanks to the enchantment. And that gets us, yeah, into a counter spell, unfortunately. We do have a couple of counter spells in the deck, just something that I'm going to have to work around with the Maelstrom Nexus as best I can. Going to have to whiff on that every once in a while. Defense of the Heart from our opponent. That's a really good one. The Azorius player going straight into combat here, and we do have an uncounterable Surak Dragonclaw ready for them. So, yeah, I imagine they swing everything in towards us, and they do. This does not have reach, unfortunately, but we'll play it anyway. So that will cascade, of course, because this cares about the first spell each turn. And that takes us into an Assassin's Trophy. Excellent. So, we'll give them a bit more mana here and blow up their Archon with that. And with that, they go for Cackling Counterpart, so making a token copy of this will give them some more humans. We do have Cyclonic Rift in the deck, so if we manage to overload that at some point, they will obviously lose the token version here. Alright, noteworthy that they went for a basic Plains there, so I'm going to assume in their 6 cards in hand they don't have a 2-mana counterspell. Oh, and of course this makes non-Archons 3/3s, so this is actually a 3/3, not a 6/6 when it enters, so I'll have to take the 6 damage, following up combat with a Mask of Memory. Alright, and now it is a Knight of New Alara that will buff our multicoloured creatures, even though they do have base toughness and power of 3/3 at the moment. I think we try our commander here. There is blue mana held up over here, but they've only got 4 cards in hand, we'll just try it. So once again, making use of the Maelstrom Nexus. And that gets us hitting all the removal. Yeah, I think we do just have to go after the Harmonious Archon there, as much as I'd like to draw the cards. So with that, we'll make a Karvu creature token. And yeah, I think if any of our opponents have a board wipe, they might use it here, so I'm not going to play a Traxler into it. I will go for Knight of New Alara though. Can't be countered thanks to Surak Dragonclaw. And that buffs these creatures up to a 9/9 and an 8/8 with Trample. And I'm just going to hold back the blockers here to try and protect Jared. So now Defense of the Heart going to become a threat. They can sack this and search for a couple of creatures, I think it is. Yeah, 2 creatures, put them straight into play. So now we see Doomweight Giant, which will wipe out the creature tokens over here. And of course this is a 1/1 now, not a 3/3, so taking out the Bloom Tender as well. Also searched up a Muldrotha the Gravetide, so they can play out Defense of the Heart again straight away if they want to. And if they get out another enchantment here, we'll lose our Knight of New Alara. And there we are, it's an Eidolon of Blossom, so going to cantrip, as well as give -1/-1 to everything again. So now this goes down to a 1/1, thanks to losing the buff. It's a base 3/3, don't forget. And then recasting that Defense of the Heart, so drawing another card and our Karvu will go down. Alright, excellent. And the Azorius player goes for a board wipe, leaving our stuff alone. Exiling the Muldrotha is really good. Exiling all 3 of these is really good actually. Replacing them with 2/2 boars. Okay, and we draw into a Seeker. It's actually the Prismatic Bridge, I'll definitely get that down here. Which cascades us into a Simic Ascendancy. Not confident that I'm going to be doing much with plus counters just yet, but it saves us casting it later on at least. So we'll make another Karvu with our commander and just pass here, I think. Defense of the Heart not triggering there because they control 4 creatures to our 2. So we see Tatsunari back into play here. They've got 4 mana available. Seal of Primordium could get rid of... yeah, I'm not sure which enchantment they go after there, to be honest. Going after the Prismatic Bridge, so leaving our Maelstrom Nexus in play. And then not swinging in at our commander, so we could go for the -6 on that. And return a multicoloured card from graveyard to hand. Don't think we can grab a Seeker with that, even though the Prismatic Bridge is on the other side. Cloud Blazer into play for the Azorius player, will gain 2 and draw 2. And throwing the Mask of Memory on there, ready for more card draw next turn. Alright, and we just top deck into a Cyclonic Rift, so yeah, what to do here. So in that case I'm going to continue to make a Karvu token because I don't think we can grab this back with Prismatic Bridge. And I think we just continue to hold back, unfortunately. Double blue being held up here by the Simic player, which is noteworthy. Defense of the Heart triggering there. Oh, it's if an opponent controls 3 or more creatures. I thought they just had to control more creatures than you, so argument to be made for going for the plus counters there, but yeah, instead deciding to trigger Defense of the Heart apparently. We've got a Wrath and Cyclonic Rift in hand anyway, so not necessarily going to be worried about what they grab here. So with that, they grab a Destiny Spinner, meaning their stuff can't be countered, and Argothian Enchantress as well, another Enchantress creature. Throwing out another Enchantress, Invadurian Enchantress, so risking losing 2 of those. Okay, deciding to throw a few things into the Jared here. So we'll go through to the blocking phase. They'll instantly replace the Kami unfortunately, but we'll just block that because of the damage. And then as it stands now, it is 3 damage going in at the commander, which only knocks it down to 5. It does mean that we can't minus it down if we want to. Yeah, I'll just take the damage here because I'd rather punish the Azorius player as well at the end of the turn. 3 creatures die there, so Bastion of Remembrance going to drain us for 1 3 times. Okay, now seeing a Vampiric Rites from our opponent. They're going to be able to keep drawing cards. I wonder if... yeah, we might be able to just Rift at the end of this player's turn actually. Then they'll have too many cards in hand and they'll have to discard a bunch. That might be the thing to do here. Still not tapping down that blue mana, so they might have counter magic anyway. Whip Silk onto the commander now, so going to continue to draw a bunch of cards. Kami draining us still. And they have the Shimmering Wings as well, so we're going to draw even more and drainers again. They've only got one green and one blue held up now, so can't actually flicker the Whip Silk and the Shimmering Wings. They'll have to choose one. Yeah, so they go through to the end step. 4 mana held up there, including 1 blue. I think we go for the Cyclonic Rift now. The Azorius player's gone pretty slow and we punish them here anyway. So that does cascade, of course. They've currently got 8 cards in hand over here. Alright, they do have a remand for us, so we can just Cyclonic Rift during our turn. That does unfortunately mean that they're not going to be forced to discard a bunch of cards, but yeah, they will be forced to rebuild next turn at least. And then if we're still not in a good spot, we can just wipe the board anyway. And we do still get the cascade here. Alright, get ourselves into a Sol Ring, discarding a Cloud Key to hand size. Obviously still has a full grip over there, as does the Azorius player now. Noteworthy that the Mask of Memory has to deal combat damage to a player in order to trigger. And our opponent does obviously know that we have Cyclonic Rift now. Playing out a Skyclave Relic without kicker. And I dare say they'll hold up blue mana here if they do have counter magic. Swinging in at us directly. So they draw 2, discard 1, go back up to 7 in hand. And discarding there an Arcane Artisan. And then tapping all but 1 of their blue mana into Doving Grand Arbiter. And making a Thopter token with that. So they could have Swan Song or something like that. We draw into a mountain, so play that out straight away. Now what I'd like to do this turn is play a Traxxas, cascade into something, and then Cyclonic Rift during this player's turn. But there is an open blue mana here, so yeah, have we seen counter magic? Do we just play into the Swan Song? Let's go for the plus counters. We can put plus counters on each of the Karvu. So Simic Ascendancy going to trigger, and that now has 10 counters on it, so next turn we could win from the Simic Ascendancy, and that gets 10 counters on it, so over the next couple of turns we could stand to win from this thing. So yeah, let's go for the Atraxa here, start doing some proliferate stuff, swinging both of our 8/8 tramplers in towards the Sultai player. They just decide to block with Kami, which will very quickly be replaced, so 5 damage plus 8 going through to the Sultai player. And then they drain us for 1, thanks to a creature dying. Now, we've seen that the Sultai player does run counter magic. I don't think it's a good idea with all that card draw to let them untap, so let's go for the Cyclonic Rift again here. Like I said, I'd really like to get a Atraxa down here and then Cyclonic Rift during their upkeep, but I don't think it's a wise move. Cascading into a Swords to Plowshares, so let's go after the Verduran Enchantress, I think, with that. Don't cascade into anything 6 and below with the Cyclonic Rift, it's just 2 and below still. That's why we got a Sol Ring and a Swords to Plowshares off that. So successfully bouncing the board back. Yeah, we can just go for the Simic Ascendancy. Alright, the Azorius player scooping there, unfortunately. Yeah, can just go for Simic Ascendancy during our opponent's turn, and that'll be 1 more counter on a creature and this thing. Okay, yeah, and it's the usual disagreement of what is casual, what's power level 6 and what isn't. I mean, you just see this all the time. Cyclonic Rift. It's a very, very strong card. I don't think I would play it in like a really janky build. In fact, I definitely wouldn't play it in a janky build, but I don't build those decks anyway. A casual power level 6 though, yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, they have counter magic in the deck. What do you all think anyway? I don't think we were actually anywhere close to winning that one, to be honest. If both of our opponents had stuck it out, I can't see what cards we were going to draw into because the client won't show us. Now, the very slow aim of winning there would have been to tick up the Jared next turn, then we can minus it down again. It would survive thanks to Atraxa being played next turn, and then we're set to minus it down again and hopefully win with the Simic Ascendancy. But apart from that, weren't really doing much of anything, I don't think. Anyway, if you want to see more from Jared Carthalion, then as usual, leave a comment and a like. I do keep an eye on the likes and views in particular. And hopefully you all enjoyed it. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.